Declaration of the Philippine Independence. With the government in operation, Aguinaldo thought that it was necessary to declare the independence of the Philippines. He believed that such a move would inspire the people to fight more eagerly against the Spaniards and at the same time lead the foreign countries to recognize the independence of the country. Mabini, who had now been made Aguinaldo's unofficial advisor, objected. He based his objection on the fact that it was more important to recognize the government in such a manner as to convince the foreign powers of the competence and stability of the new government than to proclaim Philippine independence at such an early period. Aguinaldo, however, stood his ground and won. Taking into account the fact that the people of this country are already tired of bearing the ominous yoke of Spanish domination, because of arbitrary arrests and abuses of the civil guards who caused deaths, inconvenience with and even under the express order of their superiors officers, who at times would order the shooting of those placed under arrest on the pretext that they attempt to escape in violation of known rules and regulations, which abuses were left unpunished because of unjust deportation of illustrious Filipinos, especially those decreed by General Blanco at the instigation of the Archbishop and priors, interested in keeping them in ignorance for egoistic and selfish ends, which deportation were carried out through processes more execrable than those of the Inquisition, which every civilized nation repudiates as a trial without hearing. Had resolved to start a revolution in August 1896 in order to regain the independence and sovereignty of which the people had been deprived by Spain through Governor Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, who, continuing the course followed by his predecessor Ferdinand Magellan, who landed on the shores of Cebu and occupied said island by means a pact of friendship with Chief Topaz. Although he was killed in the battle that took place, shores to which the battle was provoked by Chief Calipulaco of Mactan, who suspected his evil designs, landed on the island of Bohol by entering also into a blood compact with the Chief Sikatuna, with the purpose of later taking by the force the island of Cebu, and because his successor Topaz did not allow him to occupy it, he went to Manila, the capital, winning likewise the friendship of the Chief Suleiman in Lacandula, later taking the position of the city in the whole archipelago in the name of Spain, by virtue of an order of King Philip II, and with these historical precedents, and because in international law the prescription established by a law to legalize the vicious acquisition of private property is not recognized. The legitimacy of such revolution cannot be put in doubt, which was calmed by but not complete stipulated by the participation proposed by Don Pedro A. Paterno, with Don Emilio Aguinaldo as President of the Republic established in Biak na Bato and accepted by Governor General Don Fernando Primo de Rivera under terms, both written and oral, among being a general amnesty for all deported and convicted persons, that by a reason of a non-fulfillment of some of the terms, after destruction of La Plaza of Cavite, Don Emilio Aguinaldo returned into order to initiate a new revolution, and no sooner had he given the order to rise the 31st of the last month when the several towns anticipating the revolution rose in revolt on the 28th, such that a Spanish contingent of 178 men between Imus Cavite Biho under the command of Major of the Marine Infantry capitulated the revolutionary movements, spreading like wildfire to the other towns of Cavite in the other provinces of Bataan, Pampanga, Batangas, Bulacan, Laguna, and Morong. Some of them with seaports, and such was success of the victory of arms truly marvelous and without equal in the history of colonial revolution that in the first mentioned province only the detachment of Naik and Indang remained surrender. In the second, all detachment had been wiped out. In the third, resistance of the Spanish forces was localized in the town of San Fernando, where the greater part of the concentrated, the remainder in Macabebe, Sixmon, in Guaga. In the fourth, in the town of Lipa. In the fifth, in the capital, in Kalumpit. In the last two remaining provinces, only the respective capitals. And the city of Manila will soon be besieged by our forces as well as the provinces of Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Pangasinan, La Union, Zambales, and some others of the Visayas, were the revolution at the same time of the participation of the others, even before, so that the independence of our country and the revindication of our sovereignty is assured. In having a witness to rectitude of our intention to supreme judge of the universe, and the other protection of our powerful humanitarian nation, the United States of America, we do hereby proclaim and declare solemnly in the name and authority of the people of this Philippines island, that they are and have the right to be free, independent, that they have ceased to have allegiance to the crown of Spain, that all political ties between them are should be completely served and annulled, and that, like other free and independent states, they enjoy the full power to make war and peace, conclude commercial treaties, enter into alliance, regulate commerce, and do other acts and things which independent states have the right to do. In imbued with the firm's confidence in divine providence, we hereby mutually bind ourselves to support His declaration with our lives, our fortunes, and with our scared and our secret position, our honor. We recognize, approve, and ratify, with all of the orders emanating from the same, the dictatorship established by Don Emilio, whom we reverse as the supreme head of the nation, which today begins to have life of its own, in the conviction that he has been in the instrument chosen by God in spite of this humble origin, to effectuate the redemption of this unfortunate country as foretold by Dr. Don Jose Rizal in his magnificent verses which composed in his person, still prior to this execution, liberating it from the yoke of Spanish domination. In it punishment for the impunity with which the government succumbed to the commission of the abuses by the official, and for the unjust accusation of Rizal and others who were sacrificed in order to please incitable friars in their hierarchical first for convenience, against the examination of all those who oppose their Machiavellian ends, trampling upon the penal code of this island, and those suspected persons arrested by the chiefs of detachment at the same instigation of the friars, without any form nor semblance of trial, without any spiritual aid of sacred religion. And likewise, and for the same ends, eminent Filipino priest Dr. Don Jose Burgos, Don Mariano Gomez, and Don Jacinto Zamora were hanged, was innocent blood was shed due to integers of this so-called religious corporation, which made the authorities to believe that the military approaching for the fort of San Felipe in Cavite on the night of January 27, 1872 was instigated by those Filipino martyrs, thereby impeding the execution of the decree sentence issued by the Council of the State in appeal in the administrative interposed by the secular clearly against the royal orders that directed that the parishes under them with the jurisdiction of the bishopric be turned over the recollects in exchange for those controlled by them in Mindanao, which were to be transferred to the Jesuits, thus revoking them completely and ordering the return of those parishes, all of which proceedings are on file with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to which they are sent last month of the year of the issuance of the proper royal degree, which in turn caused the growth of the tree of the liberty in our dear land, that grow more and more through the iniquitous measure of operations, until the last drop of our chalice of suffering having been drained. The first spark of revolution broke out in Caloocan, spread out of Santa Mesa, and continued its course to the adjoining regions of the province, where the unequaled heroism of inhabitants fought at a one-sided battle against superior forces of General Blanco and General Polavija for a period of 3 months, without proper arms nor ammunition, except bolos, pointed bamboos, and arrows, powers necessary to enable him to discharge the duties of government, including the prerogatives of granting pardon and amnesty. Moreover, it resulted unanimously that this nation, already free and independent as of this day, must use the same flag which up now is being used, who designed and colored and founded described and attached drawing, the white triangle signifying the distinctive emblem of the famous Society of the Katipunan, which by means of its blood compact inspired the masses of the Rice Revolution. The three stars signifying the three principal islands of the archipelago, Luzon, Mindanao, and Panay, where the revolutionary movement started. The sun represented the gigantic step made by the son of the country along the path of progress and civilization. The eight rays signifying the eight provinces, Manila, Cavite, Bulacan, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Bataan, Laguna, and Batangas, which declares themselves in a state of power as soon as the first revolt was initiated, and the colors of blue, red, and white, commemorating the flag of the United States of America as the manifestation of our profound gratitude towards this great nation for its disinterested protection, which enlit us on continuous leading us in holding up this flag of ours. I present it to the gentlemen here assembled, who solemnly swear to recognize and defend it unto the last drop of their blood. In witness thereof, I certify that this act of declaration of independence was signed by me and by all those here assembled, including the only stranger who attended those proceedings, a citizen of USA, Mr. Johnson, a colonel of artillery, Ambrosio Rianzares Bautista, war counselor and special delegate. Thank you.